Okay, cool. So this basically, um, you see like how we were able to leverage a for loop to do a set of operations over and over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this right here, what you just did 1 through 99, right? It's basically equivalent to saying console.log 1, no, console.log 2. No, there's so many like you know what I mean operations. Instead of doing this over and over again by myself, you know, if I was
Yeah.
to like tell you to print 99 numbers, right? Number from 1 to 99, you would have to do this, right? Over and over again 99 times. But instead, I was able to do this with 3 lines of code.
Okay.
hmm So um now let's basically going back to the for loop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number the example I gave you of add numbers from 1 to 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think we can leverage this for loop to do that?
Leverage as in like count the numbers or leverage.
hmm
Yeah.
So count the numbers, right? So basically add, you know how we were like, okay, count numbers from 1 to 100 and add them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean 1 plus 2, add it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get, you know, 1. Oh, I'm sorry, 3. And then the next number is 3, right? And then you would add those two together, and then you know that's 6, and then add 4 to 6, and then you get 10, and then add 5, and you get 15, and so on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get the operation that's happening?
You're adding on to the number already listed.
Right. So it's like it's basically like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4.
Oh, okay. This whole list is adding on, adding each other up, basically.
Exactly, exactly. So you can start with these two numbers, right?
Mhm.
And then you get 3, right? So this is done, and then the next thing is plus 3, right? You get 6,
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
So now 6 plus 4, right? Equals 10, right? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next number is plus 5. But you see how like I'm just moving from this to this to this to this to this, right? This is very similar to what is going on in that for loop. This for loop is basically, you know, going from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each iteration we are console logging, we are basically having access to that number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean when I say iteration?
Iteration.
hmm You'll hear
No.
the term over and over again. So iteration just means um the stage of the operation. You know what I mean? Basically like as a repeated cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So iteration just means the repeating repetition.
Okay.
So and this it repeats itself 10 times, 100 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the first repeat, right, or the first iteration, right? What is the value of number?
One.
Yep, exactly. In the first iteration and the first repeating, the value of number is 1, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
next iteration, what's the value of number?
Two.
Yeah, exactly. The next iteration is 3, the next iteration is 4. So once this like loop, this body of loop is done, it iterates again to the top. It goes up to the top of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it iterates again. And it continues iterating until this condition is met. Or
Okay.
this condition is not met, basically, this condition is false.
Okay.
hmm Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if the first iteration is 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next iteration is 2, we can sort of see like, you know, we have this number that we can sort of like leverage as a power, as a tool to be able to do that 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 and so on for us.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where programming kind of comes in. Or scripting is almost like this is where you start to see the power of scripting and programming.
Okay.
Um, so in this example, we want to be able to add numbers to the previous number, right? So we want to add 1 and 2, right? And then you get 3, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
next iteration, you have 3, right? Number is
Mm-hmm.
equal to 3. We want to add 3 to the past two sums.
Okay.
Okay. With that in mind, to do this, this is the most common pattern. Is what we'd like to do is basically actually no, before I even go into it, what do you think the answer is? How would you do this?
Mm, would you honestly?
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, no problem. Basically the trick is we like to initialize the variable before the loop. So let's just say current sum, right? We create a
Hmm.
variable called current sum and we like to initialize it to 0.
Okay, because you said you're initializing a variable before.
The loop, right? But this is not like, it's not related to these things. It's not related to that.
Oh, okay.
This is outside the loop, right? So it's not related to the loop, right?
Mhm.
But it will be manipulated by the loop.
Okay.
So remember how I'm using let? So we can update its value because we're not using const.
Okay.
Hmm. So we're using let and we can, manipulate this value, right? Since
Hmm.
it starts at 0, right?
Hmm.
We can let it update itself, right? We can update this value by the number. So we can add it. You can add number to it.
Hmm.
So imagine that current sum equals, right?
Hmm.
The value of it, right? Whatever it is, right? It starts at 0, right? And then we're gonna add it. We're gonna update it by adding number to it. Let me walk you through an example. Maybe it'll make some sense. So in the first iteration, right, before the loop even gets there, right? What is the value of current sum?
0.
Hmm. Okay, the next line of code is this loop, right? So it goes here and it says, okay, we've initialized number to 1. So number is less than 100? Yes, it is. Okay, then we don't have to go here first, but instead we're going to go into the body.
Hmm.
So the body, it says the current sum is going to be updated. We're going to change its value, right, to
Hmm.
whatever the previous value is plus the current number.
Okay.
So what is number in this example? On the first iteration,
1.
number is equal to 1, right? What is
Mhm.
current sum equal to?
0.
What is 0 plus 1?
1.
Right. So current sum is now equal to 1.
Okay.
The next iteration, right, happened.
Hmm.
What is current sum equal?
2.
Current sum, not
Oh,
number.
sorry. 0.
Um, well, we updated in the previous iteration.
Oh, 1.
Yeah, we updated number 0 plus 1 is equal to 1, so current sum is now 1, right? So current sum now is 1, right?
Yeah.
And the next iteration number is now equal to,
2.
so 1 plus 2 is 3.
Hmm.
Okay, so what is current sum now?
3.
Yes. The next iteration, what is number?
3.
hmm the next in current sum was previously what? What is this value actually in this stage?
3.
So 3 plus 3 is 6. Awesome. So current sum is now 6.
Hmm.
Okay, one more time, right? Current
Hmm.
sum is 6, right? So in the next iteration, current sum is 6. What is number?
4.
Yes. So 6 plus 4.
10.
Exactly. You see the pattern now, right?
Yes.
So kind of like how we were doing the 1 plus 2 plus 3, right?
Hmm.
This is what's going on basically in this code.
Okay.
And then at the end, let me go ahead and return, not even return, let's just console log it. Oop, let's just console log, right? Current sum. By the way, what do you think the sum is? I really don't know. If you were to add number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 99, What do you think gonna equal? I have no idea. I say
So,
like 10,000.
yeah, somewhere in the thousands.
Okay. What should both be wrong? Oh no, okay. Four
Four
thousand
thousand.
nine hundred nine 950.
I would have
Okay.
known.
Me neither. I said 10,000. I'm not even close. Cool. But you see how like ours, like human beings, would take such a long time to do this.
Yeah.
But a computer is able to do this in one, two, three, 4 lines of code, right?
Hmm.
And much faster than us, And matter of fact, they did in like milliseconds.
Yeah.
That's the power of for loops.
Okay.
Hmm. And on top of that, I want you to pay attention to this sort of pattern. This pattern of this is a variable that we want to manipulate, right? A data that we want to manipulate.
Hmm.
It typically gets initialized before the loop.
Okay.
And inside the loop, we have, certain criteria, an element, that starts at some position, ends at certain condition, and then increment, right? Sometimes decrement. It depends on what you want to do.
Okay.
And inside of it is where we sort of manipulate the variable that we've initialized previously.
Hmm.
So those are like the main pattern, that you see a lot in programming.
Okay.
Initialize the data that you want to manipulate, iterate a couple times, and update that variable as needed, depending on the problem.
Okay. I'm taking notes down, but I want to repeat what you
Hmm.
just said. That
Hmm.
way my notes reflect correctly.
Okay.
Sorry. Um, current So you said the top is to
Hmm.
distinguish your function?
This
No.
is not a function, but more so like to be able to we've sort of like this is a pattern that you see quite frequently
Hmm.
is we sort of like initialize a variable
Hmm.
that represents the data that we want to manipulate.
Okay.
Hmm.
Initialize
Excuse me.
a variable
Hmm.
or the data we want to manipulate.
Yeah, a variable that represents the data, yeah, that we want to manipulate.
Okay. And then the second line is
Hmm. The loop.
the loop.
Hmm. It repeats itself, right?
Okay. And then the third line is
Manipulating.
the loop.
Most of manipulating the variable that we initialized before the loop.
Okay. Manipulating variable.
Hmm.
We initialize before the loop.
I
Oh,
wonder why it still says Halloween. Oh,
you what?
I'm just wondering why it still says Halloween.
Oh, I don't think that's Halloween.
Oh, okay, no, okay. This is just because I haven't refreshed it in a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just like, why is it still Halloween? Okay.
Cancel.
The console
Oh,
log is just for us. Just for us. Don't worry about that part.
yeah.
Actually, I want to throw you a question. Um, if I was to move this right
Hmm.
into here, right, you see this squiggly bracket at the bottom, like right above it.
Hmm.
If I put this right before the squiggly line, right, what would
Hmm.
happen?
Would it say error?
What makes you say that? So let me give you what I meant. So let's say I did this instead. What happened?
Mm, I think it would still read. the function or the
Uh-huh.
array? I mean,
It was still loop, yeah.
I'm sorry, the loop. Yeah, I think it would still read the loop.
Yeah, I agree. But what do you think is going to be happening at each loop?
I think it's gonna print like each sum.
Exactly. I'm just gonna press enter. Matter of fact, let me just do a 10 instead of 100. Just the last time it was way too many. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Oh,
getting printed.
it would print each loop.
In each loop, in each iteration, right? It prints out the current sum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because outside of the bracket, it just prints the total sum.
Yeah, exactly. The end of it, right? So you see, like this is where it's really important to be able to understand when you want to put some code inside the body of the function
Mhm.
and outside the body of the function.
Got it.
I'm so sorry. Not the function. I'm sorry. I meant to say the for loop.
The for loop. Okay.
Yeah. You got to be careful about where you decide to put your code, either inside the loop or outside the loop.
What about in a function? Would that matter?
Yeah, that would matter too. I mean, if the code is not inside the function, then it wouldn't necessarily be executed when that function is called.
Okay. But can you put the console.log before the squiggly lines as well?
Yeah, but okay, so which where though? Let me do this again. Where do you want me to put it?
No. I'm saying if it were a function example, not the for loop.
Oh, like console logging something
Squiggly line? Yeah.
before this could be line, so before the function, right?
Uh-huh.
You can, but it's more so like it won't be executed as that function is called.
Okay.
Remember, functions are like this block that just like this body of code only gets executed as
Mhm.
that function is called.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not the best artist, but think of it like this is a function, right? Let's think of this as adder, right? Right? It has a bunch of lines of code, right? All that stuff, right? And
Mhm.
it's all neatly packaged into this like function, right? It's like this box. It's all neatly packaged inside of here, right? But the thing is, none of the code is gonna run until we call it, until we call the function.
Okay.
So anything we put outside of the function, it can't execute the program. It can still be executed in the program, right?
Mhm.
But what we put in a block of the function, right, inside the function, will not be executed unless that function is called.
Okay.
Do you remember what I mean when I say calling a function?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Adding a value to the function name.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. Yep, utilizing the name, right? So we have to call the name. We have to say is Bernard old, right? We have to actually call that function is Bernard old, right? We have to use that name itself with the parentheses.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. How do you feel about loops?
Good.
Nice.
I they're not they're a little more complex, but it's not tricky as for the example that you use, the number example.
Nice. I'm glad. I'm glad. Um, Now, this is where it gets fun, is leveraging arrays, right?
Mhm.
Um, so let's go back to the my favorite food example, right? I'm just gonna push a couple more things into it, right? I'm gonna push burger again, taco. Let's add a couple more food. Um, Chicken. I am totally not hungry right now.
Pasta.
Pasta. Okay, cool. Awesome. So
You
now
leveraging.
we're gonna be leveraging the array. We're
I
gonna
mean,
be leveraging Maybe leveraging is not the right term, but we're gonna be combining arrays and for loop together.
Okay.
Hmm.
And
Okay,
that's when we can add into it and remove stuff and count the length.
exactly. And we could do a bunch of other things, right?
Mhm.
Remember how you say the length, right? So my favorite food dot length, right? If I do that, right,
Mhm.
it gives me back 5 because there's not 5 items in the array, right?
Mm.
What position is the last item in?
4
Yeah. And how did you get that?
by counting them out, but starting with 0.
But thing is, it gets even harder when you did. Okay, I'm gonna make it even
Oh,
harder.
right. -1 from
Yeah. Matter of fact, let me add in a couple more food. Um, Noodles, beef, broccoli, and one more. Yeah. Okay. So now, like, if I was to tell you, like, oh, what's the last item position at, right? Now you're gonna have to start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? It's gonna take you quite a bit of time.
so it
But
would
instead, hmm
the last one would be 8 because I subtracted 9 -1.
exactly. Okay.
I mean, yeah, 9 -1.
hmm And then going back to this example, right? Where did we stop at?
100
Did we?
or 99 actually.
Yeah, because 100 is not less than 100.
Yeah.
So this is a common pattern, and um it plays well with arrays.
Mhm.
This right here, while this is less than this, right?
Mhm.
It plays really well with arrays because we want to stop at the last item, right? The last item. And where is it at? Where's the last item at always?
99. Oh,
Well, in arrays, yeah.
what do you mean? Where's the last item?
So what index is the last item always gonna be at?
Um, 99.
More so like leveraging the length, right? It's always gonna be at the length minus 1.
Oh, okay.
Remember how we were like at the 9, how we did 9 here, right?
Mhm.
You're able to figure out the last item at index 8, right?
Yeah.
And you were able to figure that out because, the length of the array minus 1, right?
Mhm.
So sort of like here, how we are stopping at 100, right? But minus 1.
Okay.
We're gonna do a similar kind of thing. It plays really well for us. So basically, let me go ahead and do this really quickly. A for loop. Let's say I want to write a for loop, right?
Mhm.
And I want to um iterate through each of the foods, right?
Mhm.
And I want to take a look at them. Like I want to be able to peek, so like take a look at what they are.
Mhm.
How do you think I would? Okay, how do you think I should write the for loop?
Um,
Do you remember the pattern, the 3 requirements, or yeah, the syntax one?
for
Mm-hmm.
parentheses, let
Mm-hmm.
my fave foods.
Well, we have to initialize the variable first, right?
Oh, yeah.
We call it index.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. What
Equal
position do you want to start at? Mm-hmm.
1.
Do we? Where does indexes always start?
Oh, 0.
Mm-hmm. So we started here. Okay, cool.
And then
And what condition?
um if index is less than
Mm-hmm.
9.
Yeah, that's actually good. Yeah, exactly. That's actually good. But instead of 9, right? Um, we don't exactly know what the length is, right? Sometimes it could be 9, sometimes it could be 5, sometimes it could be 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what property tells us the length?
Dot length.
Yeah, dot length, yeah, basically. So my favorite food dot length. Okay, cool. And what else?
Index. Do we want to, you said we want to add or add the
Hmm.
total or
Well,
subtract?
think about it. At each iteration, right?
Mhm,
In the first iteration, index starts at 0, right?
mhm,
So my favorite food at position 0 is pizza.
mhm.
Okay, in the next iteration, where do we want to go? Index equal,
Burger.
right,
One.
but exactly 1, right? And the
Okay,
next
so
iteration,
we would put plus plus.
exactly, we wanted to increment, yeah, each iteration. Cool. Awesome. And then inside the body, I just want to console log. So how should I do it? I just want to print them out.
Um, console.log.
Hmm. How do
Um,
you index into an array?
hold on. Dot push.
What did that push do?
Oh wait, that adds on to the list.
Hmm.
How do we what into the array?
How do we access, right? Number, how do we get and how do we know? How do we get to look at what's inside the array outside
Oh,
position?
um, the current
Hmm.
my favorite.
So okay, go on. The number. How do I access the first item in the array?
You indicate the index number.
Exactly, right? So I had to put in a square bracket though.
Oh, square brackets.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. And inside of it, right? Number how I put 0, and then what happened? If I
Um,
put 0, what would it get console logged? Hold on, let me go into this, right? So my favorite food, right? If I want to access the first item, how do I do it?
you would put 0.
The square bracket, right? The square bracket, and then 0.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what if I want to access the last item?
9.
8. 9 minus 1 number.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be 8. Awesome. What if I want to access the second element?
1,
Hmm. What if I want to access the third element?
2,
The third element. Oh yeah, you're
4,
right. No, 2. You're right. No, you're right. No bad. Hmm. What if I want to access the fourth element?
3.
Hmm. You see how I'm like repeating myself, right? What if I
Yeah.
want to access the fifth element?
The first one, 0.
No, the fifth.
Oh,
No bad.
4,
Yeah, yeah. What if I want to access the sixth element?
5.
Yeah. You see how I'm repeating myself, right? There's a repetition going on. There's a loop that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You see how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's also looping? Let me print it out. Let me. Oh no. Oh dang it! I accidentally pressed copy, even though I already copied it. Okay. You said last index equals 0, and then what was the condition again?
Um, my fave foods dot link.
But what's the condition now?
Oh, the condition.
Hmm.
We're adding on to the increments.
Right. So index increments is right. That's the third one though. But what about the condition in the middle?
Oh, index
Hmm.
is greater than, I mean, less than my
Hmm.
foods dot links.
Exactly. Perfect. So we're gonna continuously, have like an income in like a index, right? That increment until we get to the last item. Then console.log, right? So in the first iteration, what is index gonna be?
In the first iteration,
Mhm.
0.
Right. Watch me highlight something, okay? This gets highlighted, right? Okay, cool. The next iteration, what is index gonna be?
1,
Okay, what's the next iteration? And what is index gonna be?
2,
The next iteration, what is index gonna be?
3,
And the next iteration?
5.
4. Oh, 4, and then 5, yeah. Yeah. Do you notice like this pattern now? What's the one thing that changes between these?
The iteration number and the food it lists.
Exactly. So how should I write this down? How should I get that to be printed? What should be my code?
Console.log my
Mm-hmm.
foods
Mm-hmm.
with the closed brackets,
The square bracket.
square brackets.
Mm-hmm. What goes inside of it?
0.
Okay, and the first iteration is gonna be 0, right?
Mhm.
And the next iteration, what should it be?
1.
Yeah. So what represents those iterations, those numbers that you're saying? What variable represents that?
The food.
No, I mean, think about it. Index is the one that's changing, right? Index is changing from 0 to 1 to 3 to 2. I'm sorry, from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and so on, right?
Mhm.
It's index that's changing, right? So we can leverage that variable. We can use that variable index.
Um,
And that's it. Let's walk through it. Let's walk through it. It will make more sense when we walk through it, okay?
mhm.
Let's use this as the example, right? Okay. That index equals 0. Cool. Index is 0. Is it less than 9? Yes, it is. Cool. Then we're gonna go here. My favorite food, right? At index. But wait a minute. What is the value of index?
0.
Right. So okay. So my favorite food is basically saying my favorite food at index 0.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, that's pizza.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. We're done. The next iteration, right? Now this happens, right?
Mhm.
So now index is 1.
Mhm.
Is 1 less than 9? Yes, it is. So
Mhm.
my favorite food at this index. What is index? What is the value of index? The variable.
1.
So basically saying my favorite food at index 1, which is burger,
Mhm.
and so on. Do you see the pattern?
Yes.
Cool. So if I press enter, what happens?
It'll list the foods to,
Exactly.
or all the way till 9. No,
Yep. All the way to 8.
8. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we get to index plus we get to 8, right? And then we print out kale. And then next iteration, index is now 9, right?
Yeah.
Is 9 less than the 9?
No.
Yeah. And then it stops.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the most important pattern that you'll recognize in programming.
Okay.
This is the most common pattern.
Leveraging in an array.
Yeah, leveraging the length of the array and then doing something inside the body of the for loop.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool. Um, any questions?
Not right now. No.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna stop the call. I'm gonna stop the screen sharing right now. Pause the recording.